Well, I guess obviously the elephant in the room is what happened last Saturday, President Trump. I've talked a lot about the what's happened in this country, wondering if it's too stupid to be stupid. The open borders, the lawlessness, the questions surrounding the judicial system and the electoral process, the immigration process, all of these things that made this country great. Throw on top of it the wokeness, the break away from the nuclear family, all of these things that, where merit is thrown out the window and instead it's lifestyle preferences that trump. These are things that to me have made me really angry in the past. We're supposed to believe that the entire left-leaning media establishment just realized, including Jean-Pierre, the press secretary, just realized that that Biden is slipping mentally, cognitively. They haven't noticed it over the last 4 years, but we're supposed to believe that just, because of the debate. Well, now they do. It's wholly and incredibly insulting to believe this, just as it is to believe that the roof was too slanted to put a sniper on to protect the president from 120 yards in a direct line of sight. Too slanted, she says, the head of the Secret Service, who prior to this ran head of security for Jill Biden, and this incestuous swamp that of sleaze that continues to do these things right out in the open now is becoming more and more concerning. Be that as it may, I think it's hard to ignore it and not talk about it. But I think what I have seen over the last several weeks, there are a few things that stick out to me. One would be, of course, Saudi Arabia warning the G7 against stealing the 300 billion in Russian assets. And if they do, they will start dumping their European bonds, starting with those.
Real world asset wealth: how to protect your wealth from the upcoming financial impact. Download this brand new report for free and get instant access to our resources. Click the button below the video now.
Issued by the French Treasury. Very big deal. I would also say one of the things that I've seen that's really been sticking out is the massive amount of gold and silver that is leaving the COMEX and the LBMA and the Shanghai Gold Exchange. For the June delivery month, we saw more than 30,000 gold contracts stand for delivery. Each contract is 100 ounces. Who's got the kind of money to stand for these deliveries? But something really stuck out. And that was a group called Zhonghai Futures, ZHONGCAI Futures. I don't know if you've talked about that at all or not, but over the last month or so, China has been taking delivery of gold out of New York, lots of it. A month ago, 2 months ago, we saw $500 million worth of gold in kilo bars delivered off of COMEX. And that's interesting, too, because COMEX pretty much only deals in 100-ounce bars, but the mini contract are kilo bars. And the CME Group, which is COMEX, designed a contract in 2015 that allows for delivery to Brinks, Hong Kong, which is a COMEX facility. 500 million in kilo bars was delivered about 6 weeks ago to Brinks, Hong Kong, and any metal that comes into China has to run through Shanghai first, and so it gets delivered then to Shanghai Gold Exchange, where it's presumably being farmed out to all of the entities standing for delivery there, which is a cash and carry market. You pay, you get your metal. But this amount of gold that we've been seeing leaving New York to China is beginning to become a little bit alarming, and we're seeing this drawdown, not only in Shanghai, but first the metal coming from New York. And what's interesting about this is that as of July 9th, Shanghai Futures had 31,000 long contracts across all different layers of time, with a margin of approximately 21 billion yuan, or 31 tons of gold. And they also have massive short-long positions in the silver futures, and they're standing for delivery. The counterpart to Shanghai Futures is JP Morgan, who's now short gold and silver, getting crushed. And I've said for a long time, the way that these countries win is by standing for delivery. They stand for delivery because no one ever did. In all the years I've done this, 1% of contracts would stand for delivery. And going back even 15, 20 years ago, a lot of these countries were borderline third world. They didn't have the sophistication, the wealth, or the desire or the wherewithal to stand for delivery. They are now. In the first few days of the August silver contract recently here on COMEX, we saw 5.71 million ounces delivered just on the first day to a company called PTG. No one knows who the hell PTG is, but they just took possession of 5.71 million ounces of silver. Who's got that kind of bread? Who's got that kind of storage facility? At the same time, we're seeing huge drains on COMEX, SLV, other ETFs, GLD. The Shanghai Gold Exchange just published their weekly inventory report and showed last week 215,355 kilograms of silver were delivered off of the Shanghai Metals Exchange. That's 7.6 million ounces. And you put that number in perspective, that's 60 adult African elephants or 105 cars. And so who is draining all of these exchanges? We see the head of the Polish Central Bank, who's been talking for years about what gold represent to Poland, saying that they've been buying gold for quite some time. In fact, they were the second largest purchaser of gold here, buying 10 tons in May, but the second largest purchaser of gold globally in 2023. He said that these purchases will continue and for some time. Turkey bought 6 tons. India bought 4 tons. Czech Republic bought 3 tons. In fact, India bought 1.5 times the amount of gold that they bought all of last year in the first 4 months of this year, and they repatriated it and 100 metric tons they've been keeping at the Bank of England since 1991. And I think it's important when we talk about repatriation, those who don't know what that means, that would be bringing it home, in essence, bringing the gold home that they've been leaving at the New York Fed and the Bank of England for decades. Why? The New York Fed and the Bank of England, United Kingdom, the United States, safe, stable jurisdictions, Western rule of law, and direct access to the COMEX in New York and the LBMA in England.